Can you guys see my screen? I don't have the chat up, so can somebody just unmute themselves and tell
Yeah, I
me?
can see your screen.
Cool. Everybody's good?
Yeah, I can see you
Yeah.
and hear you.
All right, cool. So
Yeah, I can see your screen too.
fabulous. Okay, so as you guys know, or if this is your first time joining a class with me, my name is Raquel. You can call me Kay. I own 650 Financial. I'm here to help you guys understand credit, teach you about some things you may not know, some difficult things, some questions. So as always, I always like to start off each class with asking, does anyone have any questions from the last time we spoke? Anything that you guys probably ran into as far as issues, the floor is yours. So you can just unmute yourself if you have any questions. If you don't, we'll go into what I have for today. And then, if you guys have any questions while we're going along, you can always just raise your hand. I'll be more than happy to help you. How are we feeling? We're all good? All right.
Yes.
Cool. All right, so last time we talked, if you guys didn't see, let's see, chat, give me 2 seconds. Which score should we look at, Experian or Identity IQ? We'll go over that. So I'll show you guys how to look at a report through Identity IQ versus Experian, and then I'll explain to you guys what to look for and what to identify with. All right. So just save that, and we'll get to that after this. So as I spoke to you guys last time, we went over how to actually conduct a dispute letter, how to write a CFPB report if you're looking and you're not getting actual answers from the bureaus. So if you guys didn't catch that class, it was recorded. So just look in the Wealth Squad to find that. But I told you guys that I will teach you this class how to deal with personal information and how to clear up personal information. So many of you guys don't know that there is an actual backdoor to Experian. I'm going to put it in the chat where you can do a 24-hour removal with personal information from Experian. So I put the site in the chat. You can't actually go to Experian.com to find it. You have to use that link. So just use that for your reference. All right. So when you pull up this screen, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to say access your report by number. Most of us don't have a number. I've never done it with numbers. So I always typically go to access personal information with your personal information. All right. So I'm sorry. Everybody good? All right, cool. So I'm going to actually go through this with you. I'm going to use mine. I'm just going to type in my information and then unshare my share my screen back with you guys, just because obviously there's some personal information going on here. So bear with me 2 seconds and then I'll be right back with you. So the screen looks like this. I'm just going to insert my first, last name, address, city, social security number, and all that information. And I'm going to click agreed, and then it's going to pop me to another screen and I'll share that with you guys. So just give me 2 seconds. I just want to show you guys how to actually do it. And it's important that when you guys are doing this, that if you've lived somewhere different in the last 2 years, that you state that. Because if you don't, you will find that the error message will pop up and you're not able to actually get into the back door. So that's important. Oh, it actually blurs it out for me. Okay, so I'll share this with you actually, because it blurs it out. All right. You guys can see, right? All right, cool. So you're going to go through that, and then you're literally going to go to submit, and it's going to wait for you to verify. Now, for those of you who are wondering why the heck do we have to go through this when it comes down to personal information, everything on your credit report is attached to a geographical code, which you'll see as we go along. And a geographical code is attached to an account that if that account is in collections or anything like that, it's hard to get a deletion if it has a geographical code attached to it. So the whole point of doing this is to get those accounts who have those code addresses removed so that the disputation process can be easier. And so that when you go for mortgages and things like that, if you have a bunch of addresses and stuff like that, lenders look at that. So you want a credit report that is as clean as possible. So it's going to ask you a couple questions based on your records. You open a mortgage, so you just answer the questions. Auto loan, I am 5'3". Okay. So after you answer security questions, it's going to prompt you to bring you to another screen, and the screen is going to look like this. All right. So most of you probably never seen this on Experian because you have to go to the back door to get to it. So you'll see credit score, personal information, personal statement, negative, good standings, credit inquiries, everything you need to know about your credit profile with Experian. So here are the numbers that I mentioned to you guys. You won't see this on a regular credit report. You'll only see it if you go to something like this where you'll actually see all the codes associated with accounts on your credit report. So the whole point of this is to get things that don't look like your name, that are actually not your name, and get those removed. So in this case, I do go by two different middle names. They made an error somewhere along in my life. So all of these are correct. So there's really no disputation here. But if you have or somebody who has multiple names, like I was doing this for my mother the other day, and she was in a situation of identity theft. So there was multiple names, not hers, addresses that were in Florida, all types of things. So we went ahead and disputed this. So in this case, if these names weren't mine, right? So let's put here, you're going to go to reason and you go never known by this name. And you're going to go to add to cart. Okay. So we're going to add that to cart just for an example. Now, the next thing you're going to look at is addresses. This is extremely important because addresses are like the number one thing I see associated with people's accounts, especially if light bills, cell phone bills, all those things are usually associated with different accounts. So in this particular one, 101 would be an address I used to live at. We have 45 Stewart. I own a multifamily there. So we have just addresses that are associated with me, even if I own the property or I've actually lived at the property. And like I said, the geographical code, which I explained to you, is these codes right here. And then it'll show you exactly what kind of property this is, right? And I can see an error right now. This is actually a multifamily. So if I wanted to dispute this, I'll dispute and say, resident type is incorrect. So then you would go ahead and dispute that. And then the next thing you're going to see is different social security numbers and things like that. And in this situation, my social is wrong, right? So you see how many things can be wrong with your credit report. And I do this about once a month on myself because all the time these things change all the time. So these are just the different informations that you want to look at and making sure that these all make sense. And then the next thing you're going to want to see is this is a Capital One card. Now my Capital One balance is high right now compared to standards. So it'll tell you the recent balance, it's open, and then you'll see that the reason why it's considered a card, and it's 10%. Okay, so if I felt like that was wrong, I would go ahead and dispute it, but it's not wrong, it's accurate. So you move on. So you want to go through all of these accounts. Every single one of these accounts should be accounts that you've opened, you have, you don't have, and you want to see what they're saying about you. Are they true? And if not, you want to go ahead and dispute them. So every single account, open, never late, open, never late. If I saw something that said late, I would go ahead and dispute it because it would be not working in my favor. Now you notice I don't have 10 million accounts and I don't have accounts in bad standing. It's important that you guys understand that just how I was able to go and look at the geographical code, look at where the standing is in the account, how much is on the balance, all these type of different things. The same thing a lender can do, right? So if a lender can look at all this information, you need to know what the lender's looking at. So you can be 10 steps ahead. I went for a mortgage. I looked at this or like, okay, I see that never late, that's paid, closed, never late. Okay, so this looks like a good report I can give a mortgage broker, or I can go to the car dealership. And it's important to understand dates open, how old are your accounts? All of these type of different things are super, super important. So don't ever feel like one thing's more important than the other. They all play a different role when dealing with credit. And this is what a lender is going to go look at. They're going to see all your accounts, what you went up to, how the balances are, anything they need to know. They're going to go and do a search like this on you when they pull your credit report, what they're looking at. And then you want to go down here, how many applications were ran on me. Now, the most recent one is probably something I did with an apartment. And then you see when I applied for a credit card. So literally it tells you a whole story about what went on with me. Date of request, how many times I make payments, all of this stuff that you probably don't even know that people can see. People can see Credit Karma, how many times I ever logged into Credit Karma until 2019. You don't even think of this stuff, but all this stuff is here. So this is basically in a nutshell what you're going to go look at when you want to know what's going on in your credit report. If you feel like information is invalid, you feel like something needs to be removed and you need it done expeditiously. It's a 24-hour method. You put things into dispute and you're going to go to dispute cart. And then when you go to dispute cart, you simply submit the dispute. And now here, I said Raquel L. Williams. It's not really my name. It's a nickname that people messed up. So they go ahead and went it through. This particular account here, I have an open account with this company. So they basically are saying, you have an open account. I'm not going to delete it immediately. Can you send verification stating your claim? Because I said the resident type is incorrect. So all you do is upload the documentations right to the link and you go ahead and upload and submit. And it's that easy. If you see a red, you just literally do exactly what they ask and you go ahead and get it removed. It's no secret sauce, nothing like that. It's just a backdoor portal to Experian that most people don't know exists, but it does. And you can run this on yourself. You can do this on your family members just to try to see what exactly other people are reviewing. And if there is something in discrepancy, how you can actually get it removed. All right. Does anyone have any questions about that? Let me see the chat.
If you have an account that's no longer active, like you close the account, you wouldn't need to dispute that, correct?
So if an account is no longer active and it's a closed account, just because the account is closed doesn't mean it's not showing up on your credit. I have people that have things on their credit report that have been closed since 2018, but the late payments still show. And especially when you're going for a mortgage, they can still see closed accounts, especially if they had any derogatory item. So yes, if in my opinion, and based on things that I've seen and how mortgage brokers work, how not necessarily cars, because cars work a little different, but when you're going for a lump sum of cash, especially a large lump sum of cash, you want to remove anything that doesn't show a great version of yourself. So if it's a closed account and it has late payments on it, you want to get the account removed. If it's a closed account that once was in collections, you want to get that account removed because lenders will be able to see whatever it was with that account if it's not actually removed from your credit report completely.
Gotcha. And if there's no derogatory marks, then does it just stay?
Yeah, so if it's no derogatory marks, if it's a good, healthy account that was closed for whatever reason, then that's fine. Sometimes I tell people a lot of times with student loans, some people are like, I want to get my student loans deleted. that are closed or whatever, but the age matters. So if you have an account that was open in 2014 that is closed, but it's still on your credit report and it's your oldest account, you don't want to get that deleted because it's helping your score. So it all depends. If the account is in good standings, if it was in good standings and it's helping your report, then keep it on there. There's no point of removing it. But if it's not helping, if it has collections, late payments, things like that, then you want to get that account removed. Did I answer your question? Okay, I hope so.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Are you supposed to remove old addresses? Yes. You don't want anything that is too cluttered on your credit report. Me, I have a bunch of addresses because I own property. But if you lived in Florida, you lived in Hawaii, you lived in Connecticut, you lived in Atlanta, all those different type of places, people don't want to see that you don't have stability. So if you've lived in like 7 different places, and there's 7 different addresses in your credit report, if somebody wants to you want to borrow money from somebody, they want to know that you can stay somewhere and you have some stability. Like most people want you to be at your jobs for 2 years. Most people want you to live at your home for 2 years. It just shows stability, and it shows that you can actually hold on to things for a long period of time. I know that sounds silly, but nobody wants to see somebody uprooting every year or changing jobs every year. So if it's an old address and you're no longer associated with it, just get it removed. I jumped a little too late once you started entering the website. Are you able to reduce that with buy on the website? No, like to put it back for yeah, so Eric, or is Katie, I'm sorry, for the sake of time, I'm not gonna redo it, but if you DM me, I will be more than happy to walk through it with you, and do the steps again, just so that everybody doesn't have to go through that again. But I'll write my Instagram for you guys. Anybody would tell you, if you DM me, I'm pretty good at getting back to you, and whatever you need, I'm all for helping you. Perfect. All right. Any other questions before we actually review a credit report? All right, cool. I'm gonna stop sharing this with you guys.
I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So I was trying to, while you were doing everything, I was trying to pull it up and trying to get some of my old addresses. But what did you say about the report number in the beginning?
The geographical code. So so if you do it, let me go back up. Let me see. So here, so if you look at if you're on this right now, if you're doing it with me, this code right here is associated with different accounts. So this particular code is associated with my mortgage. So every single account has a code to it. So if it's in a collection account, the collection account is sold. Therefore, you can get that address removed to get that actual collection account removed, because when they go verify it, one of the steps they use to verify an account is they use the code. So if they go and run the code and the code comes back as associated with the account, boom, it's verified. So we do everything in our power to make it unverifiable, and this is the first step.
Okay. That was helpful, but on the first page where it's asking for the report number and I have to fill in my social.
Sorry. Yeah, my apologies. Let me go to that. So you go down to personal information. Don't use report number.
Okay.
Yeah, so you want to use, hold on, let me just go back to the beginning of this. Give me 1 second. You're talking about this page?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just want to insert this information.
Okay.
You don't need to do the top. If you have a report number, like if you request a report from Experian, that's what they mean for here. But most of us don't do that, and that takes too long. This is most simplest way to do so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? All right, cool. Okay, so let's go to the other screen. So one of the questions I was asked earlier was in regards to what do I prefer to look at, Experian or Identity IQ? I have both. I use Experian to look at more of the actual scoring per se. I look at Identity IQ for the actual reports. So Identity IQ does have actual reports, but I want to know FICO, I want to know Vantage, all those type of different things. So I prefer when I need like certain type of scoring modules, I use Experian. But for actual reports and whenever I work with any clients, everybody has Identity IQ. So what you guys see is an actual report that I'm actually currently working on. So I just whited out the name just for privacy reasons. But basically, when you look at Identity IQ and you actually pull a report on yourself, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to see the date the report was pulled. You're going to see the name, which is whited out, and then you're going to see addresses. So like I just told you in this particular case, it has a bunch of addresses that don't really matter. So what we did, we disputed these accounts so that these addresses can get removed, and then only the most accurate addresses that this particular person has is going to show. Sometimes addresses can vary, as you can see. Some of these are different. Now, one thing that can be in discrepancy is if somebody's getting mail sent to somewhere else, or they own a property, like I explained to you guys. So anytime you guys are doing this with yourself, you want to take a look at your report to see what's on there, and then go ahead and dispute when necessary. I miss. Cliff, give me 1 second and I can help you. I've missed previous students regarding this topic. Okay, so for you guys who don't understand Identity IQ is an actual place where you can pull your own credit report. It's a monthly subscription, depending on if you go directly on their site, they charge about, I believe, $29.99. If you guys want to use my link, we get like 20% off to be able to pull your report. So, but basically it acts just like any other company who you can get your credit report from, but it shows all three bureaus. I don't use Credit Karma because you cannot actually see all three bureaus. So I prefer to use a service that allows you to see all three bureaus, all three scores in real time. And when I say real time, every 30 days. A report updates every 30 days because it gives you time to make your payments and things like that. So it's important to understand that when you're actually doing a report. So the second thing you're going to want to see on here is your employer. Nobody wants anybody who actually had a bunch of employers. So you want to make sure that these employers are all matching up. One or two, you don't want a bunch of people seeing that you have a bunch of employers. So once you go down, you'll see a credit score, lender ranking, and scoring. This basically, as you guys probably know, and we talked about before, and credit score ranges from a 300 to an 850. So this particular client is a 571, 562, and 558. Now, that's not necessarily favorable, so that's what the scoring model is going to be. Usually, most clients I tell a 640 and above will get you a decent interest rate, but obviously everybody wants a 700 credit score. All right. So in summary, when you guys look at the credit report, you'll see a summary about your credit account. This person has 21 accounts with TransUnion, 15 with Experian, and 22 with Equifax. Open accounts is 11, 7, and 11. What's the difference between open versus the total accounts is obviously if account was closed due to collections, derogatories, anything like that, all that gets calculated into there. And then you're going to look at derogatory. Derogatory marks are obviously what weighs the credit report down the most. So this person has 8, 5, and 6. And then within that 8, 5, and 6, 6 are actually in collections, 3 in Experian, and 3 in Equifax. So understanding the difference between derogatory and collection means that an account went as a charged off, but it actually hasn't hit as a collection account yet. Sometimes you can and collecting that it's sold to a collection agency and a collection agency has it, but it once was just a charge off. So you might see the slashes depending on what kind of account it is. And then payments basically shows what the minimum payment is on the accounts the average. So if he has a credit card, then it basically will show at an average, the minimum is $84, 86, and Equifax obviously has some more going on, so it'll be a 773. And inquiries, you always want to have at least no more than 4. So this is actually good. You don't want any more than 4. Sorry, somebody wrote in the chat. Give me 1 second. Mm. Mm. On my negative items listed, can I dispute paid, closed, and closed items? Yeah, you can dispute anything on your credit report. Paid, closed, you can dispute anything. Are you able to see your credit score by logging into the back portal and does it? No, so on the back portal, you can't see your credit scoring. It's just for just seeing accounts. If you want to see your actual scores, you can go to Experian.com and do it that way, or you can go to Identity IQ, and looking at your own credit report doesn't affect your credit report. It's when a hard inquiry is pulled is when it's affected. All right, so this account right here is a good account. It's healthy. There's nothing going on with the account. It's always been paid. As you see, you'll see in green. The balance is a little bit high based on what the credit limit is. So for those of you who are always asking, how do I get my credit score up and within 30 days? The most simplest answer I can give you is pay your balances. This balance is extremely high as far as debt to income ratio. So if this person just pays this $1,000 down, I'm telling you, their credit score will go up at least 60 points just by paying a credit card off. So many people get so worked up on, oh, I need to get this deleted, that deleted, and then they get all these deletions and then their credit score doesn't rise. It's because their debt to income ratio is extremely high. So if you're somebody like wondering, how can I get my credit report up? Why is it not moving? If you look at your credit card balance and if it's over 30%, that's going to be why. So you want to get these down and you want to get it under 10%. Okay. And the next thing you want to look at is your payment history. 35% of your credit is determined on your payment history. So all this green is wonderful. If there was any red or anything like that, that account wouldn't be in good standings and we would have to get those removed. Okay. So most of these accounts are in good standings. You have a question, you can, whoever unmuted themselves, feel free.
Oh, yeah, I actually had like a 2-part question. My first one is, if you ask, like, example, Bank of America for an increase in your credit limit, is that like a hard inquiry? And then the second, okay, we can start with the first.
Okay, so if you ask for a credit increase, no, it's not considered a hard inquiry at all. Sometimes if you do a credit increase, they'll do a soft pull on the back end, so you won't actually see it happen. But if you go to see your soft pull, then you'll be able to see if somebody peekabooed at your credit, but it doesn't really affect your credit at all. No.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And the second question was, if you didn't get your increase, could you does it help updating your bank with your financial
Status.
yeah, like
Yeah.
if like if you're making more money opposed to like 3 years ago when you got the credit card, like
Yes.
does that help anything?
So you always want to make sure your bank knows your current status. So if you're making $20,000 more than you were making last year, you want to update that because that will just show that you obviously can handle more debt than what you could handle 2 years ago. But the quickest way to get an increase is just people get so scared to use their cards. But when I'm telling you, use your cards, use them and pay them off, use them and pay them off because it'll show the bank, A, they're making money off of you because you're using the card. So they'll be more inclined to give you more money. And 2, it's showing them that you can utilize the card. Some people get credit cards and just don't use them. So who the heck is going to give you an increase if you don't use them? Credit card companies want to make money off of you and they want to make money off you and you pay them their money back. So if you're looking for an increase, use your card and make sure you update your financial information.
Okay, thank you so much. And I definitely reevaluated some things you told me, and I'm done at that 9%.
See, told you.
Yeah, appreciate you.
You're welcome. No problem. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, of course. People might not understand what I'm talking about, but you could explain it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
We'll do another class on debt to income ratio. I got you. So are you able to see your credit score by law? Okay. What if you pay the balance off before the statement date close and entirely before the statement close? So the thing is, if you pay your credit card off before the statement date, you still have to wait for it to report. So I don't really pay my credit card off before the statement date because I need it to report 7 days after I pay it. So if you pay it like 10 days before and then you start using your credit card and you think because you made a payment, the way credit works is the only way your credit score is going to move is if the balance that you paid is then reported to your credit report. So by paying your balance on the statement date, so saying if your balance was $700 and you paid it $700 on your statement date and you waited 7 days before you actually use your credit card, which we call blackout dates, so that can report to your credit report. That's how you actually get your credit report to move and you'll see the scoring. Paying it early is not going to make any difference. And honestly, I find that paying it early, my balance never reflects what I actually paid. Does that make any sense? Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so you see where you'll see remarks that says 120 days late. That's not going to work. Now, in this particular account, there's some discrepancies because Experian is saying it's 120 days late, but it's not showing 120 days late on the actual report. It's saying current. So what I did as his financial advisor, I went ahead and disputed the account because clearly there's discrepancies because it's saying one thing and then it's not saying the other thing on the report. And another thing that you also want to look at as far as discrepancies when reporting is, are these dates the same? So this date clearly says 2015 and this date clearly says 2021. Now, how can a TransUnion say something is 2015 and Equifax is saying 2021? Somebody's reporting something wrong. So now I'm feeling like this balance is not correct. I feel like this account reporting is not correct. So now I want to know, can you verify this information? Because if you can't, then you need to fix that actual late payment because something's wrong. Sorry. What is the best way? It's difficult to get a negative charged off. Okay, how likely is it for my dispute to be cleared after we do this process? Can you tell me what process you're referring to? Is it difficult to get a negative charged off account of your credit report? What's the best way to do that? To get a negative charged off, if you go back into the other videos, you'll see you want to dispute it with a 609 letter. And in our other call, I actually showed you guys the exact letter I used to dispute a charged off account. In this case, what section do you choose? Disputing section. Okay, got it. Cool. Yeah, so if you guys want to know how to actually dispute a charged off, it's in another Zoom call we did. We actually did it last class. It's called a 609 letter. But if you don't find it, DM me and I'll walk you through it. I'll be more than happy to. Okay, so then here, the next one, we have an auto loan. This auto loan, clearly 120 days late. It's showing 120 days late. So there's no real discrepancies. And one of the hardest parts is if there's no other bureaus to compare it to, it makes things a little harder. But it's saying 120 days late. The last reporting is 120 days late. So there's no real inaccuracy with this report at all. Why can't I go to my chat? Okay. Okay, so the next thing you're gonna want to go and look at is an actual charged off, or for somebody who asked me about closed accounts, let's do this one. So a closed account, this particular account was closed. The balance is 0. All the dates look good. There was no issues with this account, so I'm gonna leave it. This account was open in 2004. 2004, I mean, that is the best age you can get. I wouldn't remove the account even if it had information that if it had a 30-day late payment, but it's been open since 2014. If we delete that, I'm telling you the score is going to tank about 100 points. So you want to keep those things and that type of information on the account. That age is great. It's holding his report up, even the little bit that he has with all the derogatories. This count is actually helping extremely. Are we able to? Yeah, so if you guys want me to help you with your credit report, just DM me and you can book a consultation with me. If you go onto my Instagram or my website, you can book a call with me and we'll break down my whole process and how we can work with you if you want me to mentor you. We have mentorships and things like that as well. Yeah, if you don't know where to start, look, get on a call with me and I'll at least try to give you as much knowledge as I can. As far as your situation, we'll go through your credit report with you. And if there's something that we can help you with, we'll be more than happy to. Somebody unmuted. You can talk. Go ahead. No? Okay. All right. So let's look at a collection account. With this collection account, it was paid. And this is what I tell so many people about paying collection accounts. Even if you pay an account, it's still there. So a lender can still see that you were in collections, you owed somebody money, you didn't hold up your end of the contract, even if you paid it. So many times, please don't pay collection accounts. Try to get it off, try to get it removed. Even if you settle, it's clear as day. It said settle less than balance. So it told exactly what you did. Settled less than balance, accepted a balance less than what it is. And so many people think I'm gonna pay this account off and it's gonna get removed. I just explained to you guys that this person settled this account for less than what the balance is. If I can see that, every mortgage broker that ever runs your credit will be able to see it as well, even though this account was paid. And then the worst part is it's going to see all the story behind this account. You were 150 days late. You had some issues paying. You only paid 3 times out of the month. All this stuff still stays with you. So the whole point of a collection account, you just want the account removed because all this negative stuff doesn't go anywhere, even if you pay the account. I tried to pay the original account, but since they said they already sent it to collection agent, I had to pay them. Yeah, but even if you pay, did the account get removed? So many people pay, and this exact situation that I'm showing you guys happens. The account does not get removed, and now everything that ever happened with the account is still there. And if I was a lender or even somebody that was trying to move into my property and I saw this, I mean, do you really want to rent to somebody or give somebody money if they have things like this on their credit report? Can peace and things for the can, but still the credit authorized user, does it affect your credit, but it can help the authorized user score improve, and how long does it take? So Kim asked about authorized user. An authorized user is somebody basically lending you an account to your credit report. And her question was, does an authorized user affect the person? No. So as long as the person who's giving you an authorized user, so in the position where say myself had a credit card and I wanted to give my mom a boost on her credit, I would make my mother an authorized user on my credit card, but I will not give my mother a credit card. So as long as she can't swipe the card or do anything, there's no issues with her affecting my credit. I can only help her as long as I pay my bills on time and I do everything correctly. But the moment I fall off, it will also affect hers. So when utilizing an authorized user, it's extremely important to do it with somebody you trust. Tony, how do you remove a collection account with a 609 letter? If you go to the last classes I did, I showed you guys my letter on the last class, but if you can't find that, DM me and I'll help you. I got an email saying one of my accounts was listed as closed. Then the account says remarked added account. What does that mean? So it's probably the account got closed. Did you make the payments? Because if you didn't, the remark going to say collection account, or it's going to say account closed due to inactivity, or it's going to say account closed to non-payment. Read the and depending on what the remark says, if an account got closed on you, it's probably because you didn't use it or you weren't making payments. You never really want to close any accounts because nobody wants to see that either. So it's important to understand, like, utilize the cards, utilize, people let credit cards just sit there and then the account gets closed. Use your cards. If you have a credit card, use it. As long as you have the money, you can pay it back, utilize the card. It can only be to your benefit. Um, Removing inquiries, is it better to write the letter or call? I explained the 24-hour removal for that too, and like the first call we did, but I would say call. For me, when I do disputes, I do both. We call and we put them into dispute, but most of the time, if you call and the key to calling is call at like 4:49 or like 5 o'clock, because they're all getting off of work, so they're gonna do whatever you say. So do it when like 5 o'clock. But you want to start the process 4:15 and get them on the phone around 5. What time zone? Most credit bureaus work in the Eastern time zone. So Eastern time. Is it better to get negative a certified of deletion and payment, or just not pay and get the account deleted? Is it better to negotiate? So you can negotiate payment if it didn't hit collection account. But if it hit collection, I would say get the account deleted, because as you can see, this was a collection account. He paid it, he settled, negotiated, and it's still there. So that would be my opinion. Okay, we'll show one. I'll show you guys an actual collection account that's active. So this particular account, when disputing, it's important to understand this too. This account originally was at EP, AEP Ohio, but then it got sold to Penn State. So now somebody else houses the account. Right there, that's a red flag. No one told you guys to sell my account, and I am not paying Penn credit because I never even opened an account with them. So that's off the bat how you guys will go about your dispute. I opened an account with AEP Ohio, not Penn credit. I don't owe you guys anything. Can you verify that I signed a contract with your company? Can you verify that you have all the documentation that my account was sold to you? All those things are ground for how you can actually get an account disputed just based on the account being sold, because the original collector, that's who you owe money to, not Penn credit. In this particular account, there's discrepancies with the last date changed, which is 2021, 2020, and 2021. All these dates are different. Most time collection agencies will change. Sorry, my dog is a little crazy. Most times collection agencies, can you get him? Most times collection agencies will change dates because they want to collect. So when dealing with a collection account, you would see that right here, they changed the account, the date, because when the account was sold, they wanted to keep collecting. So they keep re-aging it. That's what we call it, re-aging an account. So now from 2020 to 2021, they now can collect again. And they do this to stay within the statute of limitations, because by law, you have to remove an account within 7 years. However, most people do not know that. So when you look at your credit report and you start seeing all these different ages, it's because they're just re-aging the account. And most people fall for this and go ahead and pay it without even realizing that they didn't have to pay it. So make sure you look at those dates being changed, because right there, as soon as I see that red flag, we're going into dispute, because most of the time I'm going to win, because you already did something illegal of changing the date once you sold the account to this company. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. All right, cool. And then this is the last account I'll show you guys. As far as collection accounts, this collection account, clearly, like I said, they re-aged the account because the last day active with Experian was 2019. This is the same account. They went to the same collection agency. How is it possible that one place is reporting that the last day I was active was in 2019, and then all of a sudden I was active just this month in 2021? That is just how they re-age and how they can make you start paying the debt that you don't actually owe. How would you dispute inaccurate or incorrect dates? So in this particular situation, you don't actually dispute the inaccurate date, you dispute the whole account, but you use that, we call it factual disputing. You use these errors in your disputes. So the first dispute, you're just asking for verification. By law, explain to me, how do I owe this collection company and my original account was with Capital One? You do that with a 609 letter. They're breaking your privacy, the Privacy Act, which is 15 UISC, where it says by law, companies can't share your information. You clearly shared my information with this new collection company because my original account was a Capital One. So by law, you're already breaking the law. And you need to remove it. So some companies will fight you back on this. So that's when you look at your credit report and understand that you have leverage, because you guys are now not only breaking the law with my privacy, but you're breaking the law with dates. You change the date to make me still pay to keep me within the statute of limitations. So when looking at accounts, make sure you understand that you guys all have rights, and people and collection agencies do this all the time to people, not realizing that this is illegal and you can get it removed based on those type of discrepancies. Can you have a bankruptcy? Yeah, you can have a bankruptcy removed too. There are bankruptcies are housed at another agency, which is LexisNexis, where they house a bankruptcy, and then the credit bureaus, which is Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, will go and pull from LexisNexis to then report the bankruptcy. However, the courts do not report bankruptcies to credit reports. So there's no reason why a bankruptcy would ever show up on your credit report. So you have to delete it from the LexisNexis file first, and then you can go ahead and delete it from your credit report. And you do that by saying, I spoke to the courts, I spoke to LexisNexis, and there's no way you guys could have this account because courts don't report to credit. So that's how you would get that account removed. Anyone have any questions about what we talked about? I know that was a lot of information, and we move kind of fast based on time restrictions.
Okay.
Go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes when I've gone through a dispute with a collection agency, and I asked them to verify the debt, what I got back from one of them was a copy of the original contract with my signature on it. And I think the reason they sent that was because in the contracts, they have that assignment clause. Where they
Yes.
said it, sign it. So how do we work that?
So was it sold to a collection agency?
Yeah, it was the collection agency I was dealing with, yeah.
So what, the collection agency sent you a signed contract from the original company?
A copy, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not, so when you write their dispute back, you tell them, I want a signed contract from your company. I want to know
Right.
that I owe you.
Right, but they were trying to use the clause in the original contract that the credit card agency has an assignment clause. So they're saying that the credit card company can assign it to them, which I don't really agree
But they
with.
sold it to them. They sold it to them. They didn't sign it.
Right, they did sell.
So
And
that's what
that's
you,
the trick they use.
yeah,
They
so
try to
what
make it
you,
seem like it. Yeah.
so what you're gonna say back is, you're gonna ask them, how much was my account sold for? Because in the clause, it says it's signed, not sold. So you brought my account, so that which is illegal. So if you brought my account, I want you to change to the dates of what you brought it for, which is gonna be like a penny or something like that, and then I'll pay you your penny.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got you. Okay, because that's usually all they send.
yeah,
And they never answer, or they never answer all the questions.
and send it
you
certified
asked.
mail and get it notarized.
Right, I always send it certified or registered, and I get it notarized every
Yep.
time. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Anyone else? I've just put my IG for you in the chat. Can remove hard inquiries the same way. Hard inquiries you do on the phone. It's a 24-hour removal. If you watch the other Zoom call, I put it in there, but if you can't find it, just reach out to me. I'll give it to you. You want to do it over the phone, and you want to call, like I said, at 5 p.m. So nobody wants to be on the phone when they got to get off of work. So I'm telling you, it works like a charm. Can we have our all right, cool. Anyone else before we get off the call and wrap it up? The next call, seeing that so many people missed how to actually do inquiry removal, I'm going to do that with you guys and do my letters with you, just so that for those of you who haven't been able to get on calls with me or can't find it, we'll go over that next class just so that we're all on the same page and you guys all feel comfortable. Yeah, you can get anything removed off your credit. You just got to know the laws. And that's why some people don't like credit repair companies. But look, all we do is sit and look at laws all day. So, and information that I know that most people don't know. If you don't really are not into credit or don't study it, it's kind of hard to know backdoors and all that other stuff. So, that's why we do this call so you guys can feel confident in disputing things yourself.
Okay, one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the situation where you settled, let's say it was the original creditor, like the credit card company, and let's say you set up a payment plan for a lower settlement, and you said that'll still show up on the credit. They'll show everything, how much you paid less and all of that. Would you, excuse me, would you still use the 609 letter to have it? Is it the same letter to have it removed pretty much for everything?
Yeah, so the 609 letter is just basically what a 609 letter means is you're just using laws. So you're constructing your letter with using laws and verbiage. Now the original collector, based on my experience, original collector is more likely to remove an account if you pay than an actual credit company.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's based on my experience. That's not hard facts, but for those of people who I do recommend paying because I just can't get the account removed for whatever reason, most times if it's not sold to a collection agency, like a medical bill or something along those lines, they'll be more inclined to remove it because they're still going to do business with you.
Right, because I've done that before, but it was years ago, like where I just knew I was going to default, and ahead of time, I contacted the company and said, "Look, this is my situation. Would you agree to settle for less?"
Yeah.
And they said yes. And then I said, "Would you put it in writing and send it to me that you also won't put it on the report?" And they did, and I paid it, and it didn't go on the report.
Yep.
So I was just wondering if it did go.
And
on
that's
the
extremely important that you said that. Get everything in writing. Everything
Right.
that you negotiate. If you're not willing to put it in writing, don't do it.
Right. Okay. And
Yes,
if they
that's
don't take it
extremely-
off, then you can still use a 609 basically.
Yep, you want to use a 609, and when I tell you, don't stop sending letters. Send them until it's removed. If you
Right.
want to send 609s, you want to do CFPB reports, you want to do everything in your power because most people give up, and that's what they want you to do. So if there's an account and you know there's inaccurate information, you keep fighting until you can't fight anymore. And if you have to take them to court, take them to court.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. My account is about to hit 7 years old to be removed within the next couple of months. Should I pay? No. If it's about to be removed within 7, it's going to hit the 7th year. No. But as soon as it hit the 7 years, send them a letter. Hey, this account is 7 years old. Please remove from my credit report. That's simple. If it's 7 years, absolutely not. Do not pay it. Can you do a 609 and a call at the same time? 609 letters, yeah, you can send a 609 and you can call. When I dispute actual accounts, I don't call. I usually put everything in writing because a call you can't really like have any history about it. So if you have to take somebody to court, you want to have everything in writing. And then if it gets even to the point when you start talking to the original collectors and they start trying to back challenge you and all those things, you want to get things notarized because it's like you're a lawyer building your own case for your account because sometimes they will fight you even in court, especially a repo. Most people are not going to just give up on anything over $4,000. So sometimes you will have to take things to court, but if you have all your documentation, most times you'll win your case. What is an incident in which you shouldn't dispute a collection account? So don't dispute a collection account if it's about to hit 7 years, depending on what state, but most states are 7 years. And you don't want to dispute an account if you're not prepared to go to court and be sued over a certain amount. So most times I tell my clients anything over 1,200, it risks somebody trying to sue you. Because if somebody feels like they're right and you're wrong and it's over a substantial amount of money, they're not going to just let go that easy. I just had a client, actually, she had a repo that was 10 grand. And I told her, look, if we put this in dispute, there's a possibility they might try to sue you. And that's exactly what happened. But she has all the documentations, all the letters we ever wrote that she tried to resolve the issue as a consumer. So we're just waiting to see how the case goes. All right, guys. This was recorded as well, so if you guys want to go back and make reference to, of course, do so. Like I said, if you guys have any other questions that you guys want one-on-one to talk to me about, just book a consultation. I'll be more than happy to go over any other questions you guys have for me, or you just have any other questions in general, reach out. But as always, it's been fun, and I'll see you guys. I think my next class is in about 2 weeks, so we'll go over 609 again, just so, because I feel like a lot of people miss that and how to write a 609, what laws to use and things like that. All right. I believe you can find the recording in Discord. But I'm not really good at Discord, so just ask somebody in the chat because we're political.
It's in Wells Fargo University.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just reach out to somebody in the chat because I actually don't know where they are. I just send them and then they get posted. All right, guys, have a great night. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kay.
Of course.